Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on and step right up, folks. Want to grab yourself a front row seat before they're gone, and they're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, your always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always. And I ain't no common carnival barker. I am the Bard of the Lower Haight. And this is the tale of Manny and the hot dog cart. Once upon a time, not too long ago, in the Mission District of San Francisco, there lived a man named Manny. Now, Manny had come all the way from the wilds of the Yucatan to have a go at the American dream. So one day, Manny, with his own two hands and with scraps that he found for free, he built himself a hot dog cart on wheels. And he bought a big tank of propane and some links and some bacon and buns, not to mention the onions and mustard and hot sauce and tinfoil too. So that very night, Manny, he set up on the corner of 16th and Valencia streets, and the people walked by and they bought hot dogs. He sold out his whole greasy stock and he went to bed rich and fat and happy. The next day, Manny returned, his cart bursting with supplies, only to find no fewer than 7 other guys set up on the same damn corner, slinging those bacon-wrapped hot dogs themselves. They'd stolen his brilliant idea. So Manny set up and he'd sold a few, and he'd started to eat his losses, when a cleaning lady, all laden with brooms and mops and buckets and rags, came up to him, and she spoke to him in Mayan, his native tongue. She said, "I'm a wicked witch. I got some here that could, clean up the competition." Well, Manny said, "What do you want in return, witch?" She said, "You'll know that when the time comes, Manny." And Manny agreed. She then handed him a miniature handheld vacuum cleaner and hobbled away. So Manny stood there a minute, the vacuum in hand, then he crossed to the other side of the street, and he crept up behind a man with a hot dog stand, and he took aim, and he flipped the switch, and believe it or not, he sucked up the whole operation, man and fire and meat and onions and all, and he did it again, and again and again, and until his was the only stand left. At which point, 3 mariachis walked by, not singing, but they were munching away on pupusas. So Manny marched on down to the pupusery and he sucked up all those tasty pockets. At which point, a hipster chick walked by, and she was nibbling some slice of pizza pie like a rat on a cracker. So Manny sucked up the whole pizzeria and most of the building attached. And the water mains burst, and sparks flew, and people screamed, "Ah!" And the sirens all roared to the block. And the police surrounded Manny, clubs aloft, but Manny sucked them up, and he sucked up their cruisers and vans and snarling dogs. Then he sucked up the buildings and wires and poles. He sucked up the sidewalks and sewers and streets. Then he sucked up the whole city. Then he sucked up the whole world. Then he sucked up the planets and cosmos and stars. And then Manny, he stood all alone on a field of desolate white, with the vacuum in one hand and his sorry hot dog cart in the other. At which point a man appeared to Manny. The man was short and tall. The man was fat and skinny. The man was ugly and handsome. The man was black and white and yellow and red and brown. He was an everyman. And he snatched the vacuum from Manny's hand, and he spoke to Manny in Mayan, which, as you know, was Manny's native tongue. He said, "What the fuck have you done?" Manny lowered his head and replied, "I don't know." The everyman said, "I shall have to punish you for this, Manny." And Manny agreed. The everyman thought for a moment and said, "I shall send you back to the place of your birth 1,000 years before you were born, and there you can live out the rest of your days." And just like that, boom, Manny awoke, as if from a dream, but he was atop a pyramid, with his back on a block and his hands and feet restrained, and below him were writhing masses, all screaming for his blood, and above him was a familiar face, grinning a vile grin, none other than that of the cleaning lady, wielding not a feather duster, just a razor-sharp shard of obsidian. Meanwhile, the everyman on the field of white, he pointed the vacuum straight out, and he powered it into reverse. Boom! and out popped the planets and cosmos and stars. And the earth fell just right into place. And the city streets lined up all square in a grid. And the people, they hit the ground walking. And at last the vacuum had sputtered and coughed, and believe me now, folks, I swear I would never tell you no humbug that night. All across the Mission District, didst it rain down a torrent of pizza pie slices and pupusas and bacon-wrapped hot dogs all smothered in onions. And down the street walked the cleaning lady, Manny's soul buried deep in her pockets. And she snagged a hot dog right out of the air. And she took a big bite. Ow! And she snickered. Damn, Manny, these hot dogs kind of suck. Thanks for listening, everybody. You tune in next time, all right?